of mine. The first thing I would suggest that everyone do is to listen. And that is, even if you decide that Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter and all of these tools aren't for you, figure out a way to monitor the conversations. So essentially, people are having these conversations or maybe talking about you, whether you are monitoring them or listening to them or not. So it's probably a good idea to monitor the trends, monitor the conversations so that you can respond if you need to. And so you can also use the testimonies of very positive feedback. One of the really great ways to do that is Google Alerts. Does anyone in here subscribe to Google Alerts? I have a Google Alert set up for the name of my CEO, the name of the chair of our board, CPA Virginia Society CPAs, pretty much every searchable term that I could think of that might bring me to conversations being had about my organization on the internet. I set that up, and on a daily or weekly basis you'll get an email and it will show you all of the headlines. It crawls the net and you'll see the blogs, Twitter, articles, everything, anyone who's talking about your brand, your staff, anything that you've set up. And that's a really great way to monitor those trends. You can also go to twitter.com and do searches and set up searches. So even if you decide you don't want a Twitter account, you could search and find out what other people are saying about you on Twitter. And so that's a really great way as well. And then you could set up for your county, determine a way for responding if you do want to respond. So if you see positive feedback, have you selected a spokesperson? Have you set up policies to figure out who can respond and communicate via these transparent tools? The second step would be to participate. So you've gone beyond the listening phase and you've decided I'm actually going to start to set up a profile. Maybe you'll start small and friend 25 people and keep it private. Or you'll set up a Twitter account and keep it private and play around with it, start to follow other people just to check it out. And comment on blogs. Maybe there's a blog that you always read and you're going to take that next baby step and say, you know what, that was a great article, I'm going to put a comment. If I go and download or buy a camera through Amazon, I'm going to go back and leave the review. I'm going to take that step and make myself public and say, great camera, I used it on my vacation to Italy. And then you would begin to have a conversation. A lot of people think that you can't get on social media if you're not willing to leave behind the personal, and most experts tell you that you do need it. If you're doing it as an individual, like we're talking about my Twitter account or my Facebook, I use the rule of thirds, where I have 1/3 is personal, 1/3 is professional, and 1/3 is profitable. And by profitable, I mean, am I sharing resources that are going to help CPAs do their jobs easier? Am I sharing resources that might save them money? Am I sharing resources that might build knowledge? And the personal are things that you would share at an in-person event, so nothing too risky. If you're networking here at this conference and you talk about your golf game or the fact that your grandson played a great football game or that you're interested in knitting, these are the types of things you would share that are personal, that make you human. You don't have to share anything that goes beyond a certain boundary for yourself, setting the same boundary as you'd have for an in-person networking. And then finally, you'd want to drive that conversation, and this is where you have decided that you're going to take some professional steps. You're going to set up that Facebook page, set up the Twitter account, maybe launch a blog, create that home for news and opinions where you're driving people back to your website, establishing yourself as experts, establishing yourself as willing to have transparent conversations, and think about multimedia. YouTube, as you saw, is the second largest search engine out there. Even if you send an email and it has the word video on it, it's 9 times more likely to be opened than an email that doesn't have the word video in the subject line. So that means that people are drawn to audio and video because it's interactive and they're learning and they're reviewing information in a very different way. And then finally, the biggest thing that a lot of CPAs ask me as well, because they also have lots of liabilities and other things to be concerned about, is making sure you're obeying the traffic signs once you're driving. Think about your privacy, setting all your privacy settings for these groups, what you will and won't allow, making sure that you're obeying common rules of thumb and etiquette, and then finally making sure that you do have a policy, because policies not only protect you, but it protects your staff and everyone that are using these tools. Okay, so really quickly before I turn it over, what tools are right for me? Twitter, really briefly, is a website that you would go to where information is communicated in short bursts. You only get 140 characters. So think headlines. Think headlines and think links back to more information. So we have an RSS feed that links up to our Twitter for the Virginia Society of CPAs, and it communicates a lot of headlines, and it links them back to the article on our website. And that's the way we use it. If I'm sharing a resource, I might say, oh, I just found a great application to download on my iPod that is helping me set a task list, and then I would link off to where other people could find that resource. You can monitor trends, you can prove yourself as a thought leader, you can post industry news, you can communicate happenings around your community. Twitter is very effective for that. I see lots of visitors and convention bureaus using Twitter very effectively to promote events and activities and months and observances and all of those neat. Travel and tourism uses it a lot. And there's lots of tools for you to use Twitter. You can use twitter.com, or you can go and use Hootsuite, TweetDeck. These are more sophisticated tools. You can download apps for most mobiles, BlackBerry, Droid, and iPhone. Barack Obama, one of the biggest ways that he was able, PR experts have said, to win the election was his use of social media. He had an entire public relations team develop a white paper on his My Barack Obama website that anyone can read, and it basically lays out his social media plan. Said which tools he wanted to use, how many people he wanted to fan him on Facebook, how he was going to use it, what the goals were, what the metrics were. So it's a really great resource for businesses as well as federal and state and local governments to just kind of look at a plan and see what you could use from that plan and how it might work for you. Governor McDonnell also is a big user of social media, so you could go and look at what he's doing and use that as an example. Another tool is blogs. There are lots of counties out there using blogs. I was doing some research before the presentation. This is a snapshot of Dallas County and their blog. It's a way that you're communicating, again, news, events, driving information back to your main website. You can communicate with your citizens, communicate with potential citizens, people who might be considering moving to your area. And there are lots of different tools out there for you. You could use WordPress, Blogger.com, and TypePad are three of the most common if you were ever going to think about launching a blog. Facebook is probably the most popular. When I was doing research there, I saw tons of counties on Facebook. Some of them have groups, some of them have pages. This is a snapshot of the Powhatan County Facebook page. This is where you're going to get a lot more interaction. You're going to have people who like you or fan your page, so they start to get updates and you're communicating news and information. So you can communicate with very large audiences. Some companies now use Facebook as their website versus launching a website because you can do a custom URL like facebook.com/Virginia Society of CPAs, and you could drive people there because you can post. You can link it to your blog, you can link it to your Twitter. It's very customizable in the information that you share, and it's very multimedia friendly. So if you do want to post audio and video, it's very friendly for that, and can drive it back to your YouTube channel. LinkedIn, believe it or not, I couldn't find in all of my Google a single county on LinkedIn, but I'm sure there are some. We're on there as an organization, the Virginia Society of CPAs. We use it to let our members have a discussion forum. They can communicate about job openings, tips, best practices. We download lots of different articles that we post there. We keep our RSS feed and our blog into our LinkedIn group as well. So one of the biggest things about LinkedIn is it elevates your brand in search listings, believe it or not. So if you're on LinkedIn and you did a search for Virginia Society of CPAs, it's going to greatly enhance our ability to come up at the top of the page. I'm not sure exactly why, but you'll see the LinkedIn and the Facebook and your main website come up as the top 3 searches in a Google search. And then finally, YouTube is the second largest search engine, and video is so viral. People just love to watch videos, and it's because it brings a human element to your communications. Think informational, think educational, think entertainment. These are the types of things that you might communicate via video and audio. This is a snapshot of the Fairfax County YouTube channel. They had a video posted that I thought was cool right after the election. They had their registrar, they videoed him talking about the winners in Fairfax County right after the election, and they had lots of neat information and videos on their YouTube channel as well. And one of the biggest things with YouTube is to keep it very simple. So keep all your videos very short and sweet. People aren't going to watch an hour video, but they're going to watch a 5-minute video, a 3-minute clip. It's going to really drive traffic back to your website, and it's going to make all of the people that work for your county and your group, it's going to add that face and that human interaction that people might not get on a day-to-day basis. And you can repurpose all of these channels. This is the Pentagon. They have Twitter, a blog, Facebook, and a YouTube channel. And there are lots of tools that are out there that you can use to make your lives easier in repurposing. Posterous is one that I like, and if you log into Posterous, you can update your Twitter, your Facebook, your RSS, your blog, all of it from one tool. And you can link back and forth between the various tools. And that's it for me. But if anyone has any questions, I'll be happy to take them after the other panelists go, and then of course you can contact me anytime, and I'm happy to answer any questions about how some of our CPA members are using it, how my organization is using social media.